Hello students, now I would like to teach you how to draw histogram. So the scale of 2 cm to 3 kg on the horizontal axis and 2 cm to 1 child on the vertical axis. Draw a histogram for the data. So for histogram, the horizontal axis must be either using midpoint or class interval, or you can use a lower boundary or upper boundary, but today we are going to use midpoint. Alright, so we'll use a midpoint given there in the table. Alright, so if the table was not given, you have to form your own frequency table, and you have to find all the midpoint, all the frequency you have to list down, right? So you have to complete the frequency table. This is so-called frequency table. It's a table consists of class interval. Maybe if histogram, we will use midpoint. If the ogive, we will use upper boundary. And if frequency polygon, we will use the midpoint also. So we are going to draw histogram right now. I'm going to teach you from very beginning step how to draw the histogram. So take out your graph paper, take out your ruler and pencil, and first of all we have to make sure the midpoint is ready, so you can always double check the midpoint is 10 plus 12 divided by 2, so you have 11, and the size of the class is 3, so you will plus 3 for every midpoint, successive midpoint. So let's have a look at the graph right now. We are going to plan how to draw the graph. Okay, let's say this is a graph paper. For the horizontal axis, we will label midpoint first. Always start with the horizontal axis, okay? So you draw a horizontal line using the ruler, and then we are going to label the midpoint 11. If possible, the 11 you put at the middle of the 10 small boxes, which is actually 1 centimeter, right? That means for every 5 small boxes is the scale is actually at the middle. So let's always start from the middle because it's a midpoint. So we will find the big box consists of the 10 small boxes, and we count 5 boxes. So the 5 boxes is in between the two darkened lines, isn't it? So we have to make sure we count the scale first so that it's enough. So we are going to label 11, 14, 17, 20, 23, 26, 29, and then 32. So I'm going to enlarge and teach you how to draw. So you have to count carefully. It's actually midpoint, so 5, isn't it? And you label 11, okay? After that, another 5, okay? So it's at the middle, 5 left, 5 to the right. So every midpoint must be at the middle. So you have 11, you have 14, you have 17. You have to label all the midpoint carefully, all right? Okay, so now let's label the midpoint 14. You have to be very careful. Make sure it's exactly at the middle so that they won't minus your mark in SPM exam. So after 14 should be 17. You notice that the difference is actually 3, right? So you can just add on the 3. It becomes 17 plus 3, which is 20. The 3 is the size of the class. So we will keep on label until the last one. 23 followed by 26. 23 plus 3 is 26, right? So make sure you put a small bar to show that is actually the mark for the midpoint. Okay, that is how we mark the midpoint. Okay, so we have make sure all the midpoint label ready. Now we will label the vertical axis. Alright, so we have to make sure we label the axis, horizontal axis, and as a midpoint, and the vertical axis is always the number of the students, or we can say frequency. Okay, frequency means number of. So we have frequency starting from the lowest is 2, the highest is, we have to check the lowest and the highest first before we label. So to make sure we follow the scale, so we're going to label the 2 first. Okay, so the lowest is 2. So we will go to the actually you can always start from the beginning and label the 0 as the starting, because the frequency is 0. Then start from 2, 4, 6, 8 until 10, right? So we can start to plan the scale by refer to the scale given. Okay, now let's start to draw a vertical line. This is called vertical line, and please do not label as y-axis. This is frequency, okay? Alright, so we will start from 1, and then 2, 3, 4, follow the scale given. If the scale say 2 centimeter to 1 student, then you have to use the 2 centimeter to 1 student. So we label 4 and then 5, and our maximum frequency is 8, so it's enough, right? 6 and 7, and then the last one is 8. So we have to label the axis, vertical axis, name the vertical axis as frequency. Okay, so label frequency. So please do not write as y, because this is not representing y, or you can say this is a number of the students. It's okay, no problem. So frequency is better, but in Bahasa they call as kekerapan, right? But you have to write in English, frequency. Okay, so we are going to plot the line. Normally we don't plot the point, we will draw the line. So we draw a horizontal line for 2, and then we draw a rectangle. That is how we draw the histogram. It's actually drawing the rectangle, and all the rectangles are close to one another, so there is no gap between the rectangle. Okay, if you draw the space between the rectangle, that is not histogram, that is bar chart, okay, which is wrong. So then we go to frequency 1. You see, we don't put a point, we just draw a line and then we form a rectangle. Okay, so slowly we go to the frequency, we will draw a line to form the rectangle. Okay, so this one is the frequency is 3, right? So make sure the line is nice and neat. Okay, so followed by we will draw the frequency, which is 5 for the next class. So that is how you draw the histogram. No freehand, okay? You must use a ruler to help you to draw the straight line. And then we go to another frequency, which is actually the highest frequency, right? Okay, this is the class interval with the highest frequency, and there is a name for this class interval. You can call as model class. Model class, it sounds like mode, right? Model. So mode means the most number of the students, 8 students. So model class is the class whereby the most number of the student having the score, having the marks. We have 8 students, which is the highest, right? And then we go to followed by, we have the next one will be 6, and then followed by 5, right? So we draw a nice rectangle. Now I would like to share with you some of my students' work for the frequency table. They can actually come out with the class interval, frequency, and also midpoint very fast. So I'm really proud of you, my dear students. Your table is wonderful, frequency table, and your histogram is very impressive. You look at the histogram, it's so nice and so neat, right? You can see she even shaped the rectangle shape, all right? So you can see all the rectangles are close to each other, and she did label the vertical axis for the frequency and the midpoint for the horizontal axis. So it's really a wonderful homework. And this student, Cecilia Ng, your homework is very, very beautiful, because you can see there is the color for the histogram. I think she loves blue color. So the histogram is in blue color. So it's very beautiful, isn't it? You can see the line is so neat, and the rectangle is so close to each other, and all the skills are labeled nicely and beautifully. So this is a very good example for the histogram. So you can label height as a horizontal line there, or you can label as the midpoint of the height. Okay, then the table, you can use a grid to show your table, and you can just paste the graph on the PowerPoint slide that I share to you. I can check through your frequency table, your histogram, and I can do any correction if there is any mistake. Okay, so far so good. I'm sure many of you can do well in your coming SPM exam. Keep on trying. Your work is fantastic. This is another nice frequency table presented by our friends. Okay, you can see the histogram and the frequency table are their original work. They do it honestly on their own, and they can show me their drawing is very nice. So now I would like to bring you to Japan. Let's enjoy our holidays at Japan. Have fun!